is it going? It's ASMR today because I'm really tired and I want to keep a really strict schedule, so that's what it's gonna be. I actually wanted to play Stardew Valley, but it's a strict schedule today. Very, very strict schedule because I got a long work day tomorrow, so I'm keeping myself on a tight leash. Which means, book reading today. Hi memes, thanks for being first. Thanks much. You get the first kiss of the day, possibly the only kiss of the day. We'll see how it goes. See how it goes. I honestly don't even remember what was going on in this book. That's the crazy part. I mean, I do remember. It hasn't been that far. I do remember. Is it a Hamilton reference? Still. I'm trying multi-streaming and it's actually like really annoying. The UI is, I said yesterday, like the UI is like really annoying. Because I definitely titled it ASMR today. And for some reason, I don't know why it didn't update. That's so annoying. Wait, let me see. Yeah, for me, it says ASMR. I just did it right. I mean, for me, it says ASMR. Can I get like a confirmation or a denial? Like, because for me, it just looks like ASMR. So. Like on the actual stream info, it just says ASMR for me. So. Yeah, I really don't know why the multi-streaming is so weird. Like, it takes the title from the last stream, and the last stream was obviously that, so I don't know. It takes the title from the last stream and then it updates. It did the same thing when I did it yesterday. It's very strange. Also, why did you say you hope that I can have a chill stream? Why does it feel like you're plotting on my downfall? Why would you say that? Why'd you say that? Are you planning something or? Oh, it sounds like you're wishing for my downfall. I don't know. It sounds like you're wishing for my downfall. It sounds ominous. Well, either way, yeah, I'm on a tight schedule because I actually need to go to bed today. So I was actually supposed to start the stream on time, and then I started watching this Korean drama, and it was actually kind of good. So unfortunately, I had to watch 2 more episodes before I started stream. I know. Unfortunately, I had to sacrifice some stream time in order for me to watch 2 more episodes. It had to be done, so I'm gonna keep myself very strict. I'm ending in like 2 hours, so we're gonna see what I can kind of get through in 2 hours. Hopefully it'll be good. Yeah, unfortunate, but it had to be done. It had to be done. It was actually like the first episode was really bad, but I watched the second episode and I was like, oh, I understand it now. I get it now. I understand why everybody likes it. Because that first episode was really bad. But it's picking up. I'm on episode 6 or episode 5. You know, it's not the glory, but it is entertaining. I understand it. Anyway, I'm tired. Keeping a strict schedule, so we need to launch into this immediately. Let's see. So, I'm reading Gregor through Overlander because that's what I read last time. And I haven't finished the book. We ended on part 1, and then I didn't pick up this book for like 4 months. So now we're on part 2. I'm gonna give you the recap. I didn't touch this book until today, so I'm gonna give you my puppkats recap on what is going on right now, and hopefully that's just gonna be enough. I'm assuming I'll remember things as it comes out, but hopefully that's just gonna be enough for right now. So last time in part 1 of Gregor the Overlander, Gregor fell down. Gregor was in his New York apartment. I'm trying to remember. He was in his New York apartment with his baby sister, his middle sister. He's the oldest in the family. There's 3 kids. His middle sister went off to summer school, and his mom was out working. He was doing laundry in the laundry room of his New York apartment, and his baby sister fell down a giant hole. And Gregor followed down the giant hole because he was like, well, I gotta go get her. And Gregor is like 12, I think, question mark. Don't hold me to that. He's like 12 years old. And Gregor was like, damn, I guess we're gonna die. I guess we're going to die because this hole is quite big and we've been falling for quite some time, and they're falling and they're falling and they're falling, and they had some fog, and they're falling and they're falling and they're falling, and suddenly they just land comfortably. And Gregor's like, wow, this is crazy, I didn't die. And my baby sister, whose name's Boots, they call her Boots, for some reason I feel like was explained, but I can't remember. So Boots and Gregor survive falling down this giant shaft. And Gregor's like, wow, I'm not dead, this is crazy. Oh my god, there's something in my eyeball. He's like, oh my god, this is crazy. This really is crazy. But This is crazy. But where are we? Because this doesn't feel like New York, and he's right, it's not New York. What is happening actually is that Gregor is in a mystical, magical place called the Dark. It's not what it's called, I'm calling it that. He's in a dark area and he can't see for shit, so he picks up boots and he's like, okay, let's go explore because this doesn't feel like New York. And he meets some giant bugs that are like Bazorp, and he's like, what? And they're like, Bazorp. They can't really understand each other. And Gregor is like, wow, this is really fucking crazy. It's not what Gregor says, this is the puppkats recap, but Gregor's like, wow, this is really fucking crazy. There's giant cockroaches talking to me right now. And the cockroaches are like, we really think your sister is super cool. Is she like a princess or something? And Gregor is like, no, she's like 3 years old. What are you guys talking about? Also, where are we? Can you guys lead me? Can you guys lead me to like where the exit is at? And they're like, oh yeah, totally. We know exactly where you gotta go. So the giant cockroaches, Gregor and Boots all get let out of the dark and into a giant, basically football field with stadium lights. And Gregor's like, what the fuck? I thought we were underground. What is this? What is this? And in the middle of the field, there are giant bats and like really pale individuals playing some sort of ball game. And Gregor's like, wow, this is fucking crazy. We gotta go. We gotta get out of here. But it's unfortunately for Gregor, it's too late because everybody can see the giant cockroaches and him and Boots. And the entire game stops. And the main one who's on a giant bat, main girl who's on a giant bat, who is pale as they come, and I can't remember, does she have white hair? I think everybody in here has white hair and purple eyes. I don't know why purple eyes are coming up for me. I think she has purple eyes that make Gregor go, what? Hops off her bat and she's like, what the fuck is going on here? And so she starts negotiating with the cockroaches. They're speaking. Gregor is thinking about running away. He's like, how fast can I run back to the dark area? Maybe we can find an exit somewhere over there. This clearly isn't where I'm supposed to be. And the cockroaches, once they're done talking to that girl, they skedaddle straight back into that hole. And Gregor's like, damn, my opportunity has escaped me. Because now I'm stuck with this girl. And he finds out that this girl is a princess. I'm laughing because I genuinely don't remember. I think she's like a princess or something. And she just bought him for like 3 baskets. Yeah, he just got bought. Him and Boots, actually, it was a combo deal. They just got bought for 3 baskets by the cockroaches because the cockroaches wanted to sell Gregor and Boots to the rats. And Gregor's like, is this slavery? And Luxa, who is the girl, is like, let's not talk all about that. Anyway, I just bought you for 3 baskets and you have to come with me to our city. This is how this works. And Gregor's like, I don't think I want to do that. And she's like, you actually don't have another option. Yeah, you're gonna have to come with me. So they all go into the city. Can't remember what the city's name is. They all go straight into the city. And it's beautiful. Gorgeous, gorgeous gowns. It's sparkling down there. There's giant bugs down there. Gregor's like, this is very strange. As he has been saying this entire time, this is very strange, it's very weird. Also, I don't trust anybody here, and he is consistently looking for an exit. He actually accuses one of the people of being cannibals, which they don't like that very much. They actually take quite a strong offense to that. Because why do you think we eat people? That's weird, Gregor. That's very strange of you to think. And Gregor's Gregor's like, damn, actually I was being kind of mean right there. Gotta reel myself in. So anyway, they take him to the castle that's located in the middle of the city. And I'm trying to remember what happens. They take him to the castle in the middle of the city, and he gets like a history dump, a big exposition dump, where they're like, yeah, so you're an Overlander, Overlander. I'm forgetting the title. I'm forgetting everything. You're an Overlander, and Gregor's like, what is that? It's like Overlanders live above the land. There's different holes all across the world where you can access our region. And typically humans die, you know. Typically that's what happens, humans die. Because you remember that fog from earlier? That fog actually saved your life. Normally there isn't a fog, and if you don't touch that fog, then it makes you splat to the ground. Yeah, and you don't even want to touch the other holes, because the other holes, some of them, they have water in them. Yeah, you can drown, or you know, there's like lava in one of them, I think. Yeah, it's bad. So you actually got a really good one. You actually got a great hole that you landed in. Great timing and everything. And Gregor's like, okay, because he was assuming that there were other Overlanders. And he's like, well, can I meet anybody else that came down here? And he's like, oh, well, Luxa. And the rest of them are like, oh yeah, they don't exist. They don't exist, they're not here anymore. So, you know, they usually die. So, you know, we're actually really happy that the both of you survived. Because, you know, typically people don't last very long. The Overlanders, they don't last very long. And Gregor's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here, because he's thinking about how much trouble he's gonna be in with his mom. Gregor is not a very smart 12-year-old. Just thinking about this, but he's not a very smart 12-year-old. And when I say this, I just mean that he's consistently thinking about how he's gonna get back to New York City, and he's not understanding that, like, he just talked to a giant cockroach, but he wants to head back to New York City. Like, he's not really grasping the reality of what he is experiencing. Because everybody's telling him, yeah, you can't go back to New York right now. It's actually a really bad time for you to go back to New York. The only exit is blocked off by the rats. And you really don't want to fight those rats. You really, really don't want to fight them. And Gregor thinks that everybody's lying to him for some reason. I don't know why. I can't tell you. I'm not Gregor. But he thinks that everybody in the world is lying to him, which is very strange. So he doesn't believe anybody. So he makes a plan to escape after they get down to the castle and he gets the exposition dump. Oh, and also after everybody feeds him and takes care of boots and everything. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna escape. So while he's in the bathroom, he devises a plan where he's like, I'm just gonna follow the water. Because he's like, well, there's rushing water in this bathroom, so wherever the water rushes out is clearly where the exit is. This is easy. This is very simple. I'll just do it that way. So in the middle of the night, he kidnaps Boots. He kidnaps Boots from this beautiful castle and straps her to his back. And then he immediately leaves. He starts following the water. So he follows the water all the way out of the castle. He sneaks, he dives, he does a little Metal Gear Solid, you know, he's getting himself out of there. He sneaks behind all the guards and he rushes out. Obviously, everybody knows that he left. Obviously, everybody knows that he left. Let me just say that. Because he's the only fucking human from the Overland that came down here with a fucking baby, so everybody's like, Gregor, stop running, Gregor, stop running. After he exits the castle, they're like, stop running, and he's already going to the water. And he steals a fucking boat. He steals a boat, and he rushes off into the water, steals a boat. He's out of there, too fast for him. And he's like, those people trying to protect me or something. There's people lying to me, because everybody's lying to Gregor because because Gregor thinks he's the smartest man in the room, even though he's 12. He believes that he is the smartest man in the room. Very strange. Very strange 12-year-old. So, Gregor is like, okay. Gregor's like, okay, now I got the baby. I got the baby. I got nothing else because I didn't really pack anything else. I got the baby, and I'm gonna find an exit. Clearly that doesn't fucking happen. He immediately hits, what is it called? I actually don't remember what he hits. I just remember that I think he hits a boulder. This recap, it's like, some of this shit, I'm like, you don't need to know. He hits like a boulder. And then, he finds some land. And he's like, okay, well, clearly, this is where I must stop. So he gets out and immediately is confronted by giant rats. Like instantaneously. He is confronted by giant rats who want to eat him. Who are immediately two giant rats that are like, oh my god, this is fantastic. I was fucking starving. Yes, McDonald's, McDonald's, McDonald's. And Gregor is like, are you guys talking about eating me and my sister? And the rats are like, oh, definitely. Oh, most definitely, yeah. We're actually deciding on whether or not we should like eat you first or eat the baby first, because the baby looks nice and soft, so I don't know, we just can't decide on what we want to eat first. And Gregor's like, damn, I guess those people weren't lying to me. Which is insane, might I say. Insane that it took him having the giant rats confront him for him to believe that the giant rats existed, because he literally met giant cockroaches as soon as he landed here. So it's quite strange to me that he didn't believe them. It's a very weird thing that Gregor has to do. He has to experience something that's very strange. So anyway, Gregor is like, okay, I guess, these rats are gonna try and eat me. I think I'm gonna try and talk my way out of becoming dinner. So Gregor, he pulls a little Marvel, you know, he's chit-chatting, he's chit-chatting with him, you know, he's like, maybe you don't want to eat us, you know, perhaps I'm kind of entertaining, wouldn't you guys want to keep me around for a little bit? And the rats are like, I'll bite, sure, for sure, like, you're kind of entertaining, you're talkative, I like that in a human, but I still think we want to eat you. Like, you're doing a great job at stalling, but I still think we want to eat you. So unfortunately, Gregor's yapping has done nothing for him, but what does happen is that a bat comes and swoops down and attacks one of the rats. And Gregor turns and looks and he sees, oh my god, the people from the castle, wow, they actually came to help my ass, even though I think I would have let Gregor die, but that's just me. I think I would have let Gregor die. So everybody from the Underland came on bats to go get him. Because Gregor honestly be pissing me off that entire first chapter. All I remember is that he was really pissing me off. Because I'm like, why would they lie about giant rats? Like, I don't understand this. I really don't understand why he's so, like, confrontational. Like, I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense within the narrative. Because, like, why is he like this? When he literally just talked to giant cockroaches. Like, what? I don't know, if I see a giant cockroach, if somebody tells me, oh yeah, there are giant rats down here, that would not be something that I'm like, I think everybody's lying, but whatever. So anyway, the bats come, and Luxa, princess by the way, is on one of the bats, and she's mad as fuck, and I understand why, because now she's also like a general. She's also like, what, 13 herself, but she's like, you know, she's into war, she's into strategy, so she's mad as fuck, because she's like, damn, we have to risk the bats in order to save this fucking guy and his sister, because he didn't believe us about the fucking rats. So the bats are attacking the rats, and it's actually not going well for the bats. It's actually really not going well for the bats. The rats actually got some movement. The rats actually have a bit of movement. It's crazy. And the rats attack one of the bats and wound one of the bats quite terribly, and this is not good. This is really not good. So Gregor is like, I gotta help him out. I mean, this is all my fault, which it is. This is all my fault. I gotta do something, because everybody's dying and getting hurt because of me. Correct assessment. So there's a torch in here. We don't need to find out how it came about. It doesn't matter, but there's a torch. So, you know, Gregor grabs a torch that fell on the ground, and he starts going after the rats. He's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this thing, but I think I'm gonna try and attack this rat. And he does so with the help of Luxa, who is simultaneously attacking the rats. So he manages to get a good hit on one of the main rat named Shed. And as Shed is dying, he looks Gregor right in the eye and he says, "We are going to kill you. It doesn't have to be me, but we are gonna kill you. All of our units are gonna be used to kill specifically you. Until we are all dead, you will never know peace." And then he dies. And Gregor is like, what the fuck? And he doesn't even have time to think about that, because Luxa is like, we gotta torch this whole fucking place. We gotta burn it to the fucking ground. Like, this place is done. Like, the rats, they can smell us. We gotta fucking go. So she's like, burn it, burn it, burn it. And there's like blood everywhere. This shit got real intense. There's like blood everywhere. People are dying. They're hurt. The bats are fucking injured. And Luxa's like, we gotta get the fuck out of here before they call reinforcements. Like, this was bad. So everybody's screaming, torch it, torch it, torch it. And Gregor's like, okay, because he's the one holding the torch. So they torch that shit, and they're out of there. They are out of there. So after they get out of there, everybody fucking hates Gregor. Everybody hates Gregor, because he hurt everybody. He caused all of this nonsense, especially after everybody told him already that the rats were bad. Rats exist. So everybody's mad. And nobody likes him. And Gregor is like, damn. Hey guys. You know, when I didn't believe you, shit. I know I wanted to go home, but like, do you guys remember how nice it was like a couple hours ago? Do you guys remember that? Can we go back to that? And everybody's like, fuck you, Gregor. Like, everybody's mad at him. Like, people that were like fawning over him earlier because they were like, oh my god, an Overlander. Like, he was like a novelty. They were like fawning over him. They're like, oh my god, we want to be your friend. We want to talk to you. Please tell us stories. Now they're like, this guy fucking sucks. Like, we want nothing to do with him. And Gregor's like, damn. Gregor's like, damn, oh my god. They actually send him to jail. Yeah. Yeah, they actually send him to jail. Yeah, he gets put right in there. And honestly, that's about right. I don't know what I'm supposed to say for that. I cannot for the life of me decide if like the book is telling me that I'm supposed to feel bad for Gregor, or I'm just supposed to like understand him, because to be completely honest, I don't feel bad for him at all. I think he's a really stupid kid. I don't feel bad for him, not one bit. I don't find his antics quite funny because he hurt a lot of people. There are people that are wounded, you know. So while he's in jail, he's thinking about it and he's like, damn, I hurt a lot of people just now. This is crazy. I just kind of wanted to go home. Wow, this is bad. Yeah, there's a lot of blood out there on the battlefield. This is really bad. And what's worse is Luxa comes down to jail and immediately slaps him right across the face. And he's like, okay. And she's like ready to punch the shit out of him, frankly, until, you know, her advisor, I guess that's his role, the advisor, Vicus, who I haven't mentioned at all this far because it really isn't that important. Vicus is like, we can't go around hitting people. You're about to be a princess. Like, look at how bad that's gonna look. And you can't be hitting people. We have to negotiate. We gotta talk things out. Like, what the hell? And Luxa is like, do you know what the fuck just happened? 2 people are down. Somebody's in a fucking coma. All because this motherfucker wanted to leave. Like, I think we should kill him. Which, first time in the book, I actually agree with Luxa. Wow. I think we should kill him, is what she says. And Vicus is like, we're not gonna kill him. And I'm like, damn. Because I think we kinda should. Anyway. So Vicus is like, okay, let's calm down, let's take a breather. Are the rats dead? That's really what's important. And Lux is like, no, the rats are dead. They died, and we torched everything. We torched it all. And Gregor is like watching this whole thing, and he's like, damn. Because now Luxa is in trouble, because Luxa wasn't even supposed to be on that mission to go get him in the first place. But she went there because she was like, I have to make sure that everybody's okay. So now everybody's mad at Luxa too. Everybody in the council is mad at Luxa too. And Gregor is like, damn, I got everybody in trouble. He's like, I got everybody in trouble. This is crazy. And Vicus, on the other hand, is like, okay, let's talk about what happened on the battlefield. Did Gregor fight? Or did he just run away? And then Luxa's like, I don't know, I didn't see him. But like everybody else says that he did fight. He fought, I guess. And Gregor is like, yeah, I picked up that torch. And Vicus is like, that's good. That means that there's something inside of him worth keeping around. And Lux is like, I really don't care. Lux is like, yeah, I really don't give a fuck. I really don't care. I still think we should kill him. And Vicus is like, no. Listen to what I'm telling you. Let's take him out the jail. Let's have a real conversation here. So, because Gregor is in prison, by the way, while he's in jail. So he's like tied up. He's like all tied up and everything. So they're like, okay, let's cut it all off. Cut the ropes around his wrist. I mean, the baby wasn't tied up because what the baby gonna do? But you know, Gregor was tied up. So they're like, okay, let's have a real conversation. So all 3 of them go, get out the jail, have a conversation. And Vicus is like, Gregor, we were trying to tell you earlier that there's some stuff that like you don't know, but we tried to give you like a soft exposition, but clearly that wasn't enough for you. I understand why you'd be scared. I get it. I understand why you'd want to run. I get it. And Luxa really fucking hates you because people are in comas because of you right now. But I mean, we told you that the rats were there, you know? We told you that the rats were there, so I don't know why you went and ran. And Gregor's like, okay, understandable. Understandable. I'm understanding, I'm hearing. And he's like, I'm sorry that Luxa hit you, but you know, Lux's parents were killed by rats. It's not funny. It's not funny. It's just the way that I said it. Lux's parents were killed by rats. And then Lux is mad as fuck because he's like, why are you telling this random child my trauma? Why are you doing that? And Vicus is like, you have to understand the rats. They're not playing around. You know, the rats, they mean business. They mean it. Like, that's what we're trying to protect you from, but never mind all that. He's like, never mind all that. I think I know something about you, Gregor. And Gregor's like, what? He's like, I think you don't have a dad. And Gregor's like, what the fuck? I mean, I know I've been acting some type of way, but like, how can you say that? And Vicus is like, no. Do you recognize this item? So he pulls back his cloak and he pulls out a metal ring, and it's got a bunch of keys on it. And it's got something very familiar to Gregor on it. It's got a little arts and crafts trinket on it. Something that Gregor made himself. And it's something that he gave to his father. His father, I haven't mentioned this entire time because it wasn't relevant until this very moment. Because Gregor's father mysteriously disappeared one day. And nobody knows what happened to him. Just one day he was in New York, and then he wasn't anymore. And everybody believes that his father had an affair, and he like ran off with his brand new family. And Gregor has always been like, my father's not that type of man. My father is not that type of man. My father loved his family. My father would have never done something like that. But who is to say? Who is to say there are cheaters everywhere in New York City? There are cheaters everywhere in New York City. Real plot point, by the way. I'm not making that up. Real plot point. Like, everybody genuinely thinks that his father is like in an affair and he just ran away, and they keep bringing it up to this child. I thought that was so weird. They keep bringing it up to the kid, and they're like, yeah, your dad is a fucking adulterer. And it's like, well, okay, I don't think my dad is like that, but okay. Everybody's like, oh, it's such a pity that your dad left your mom with 3 kids. It's crazy. And it's like, okay, well, I just don't know where my dad is. But obviously, what are they gonna do? So Gregor sees this and he's like, my father would have never went anywhere without that keychain. So how do you have this, Vicus? And that's where we left off. That's where we left off. His dad's case is a bit stronger now. I mean, I'm not saying that his daddy doesn't have a secret family. He could have a secret underland family, to be completely honest. Like, this does not mean that he didn't move on. Because, I'm gonna be honest, like, what if he couldn't leave? I mean, it's been a while. It has been that long, because Gregor's like 12 or 13, but it's been a minute. Like, I guess I think his dad left, or his dad disappeared when he was like 9. So it's been a few years. 9 or 10, so it's been like a few years. But like, he could have a whole different family down here. We have no idea. Anyway, that's where we left off, so I'm gonna start there. That was the end of part 1. We're gonna start on part 2. Part 2, the quest. Obviously, I like to yap, so I'm gonna pause whenever I feel like it's relevant, and when it's not, then I won't. So let's go. Chapter 10. When Gregor's heart started up again, it beat so hard he thought it might break through his chest. His hand reached out on its own, his fingers grasping for the keychain. Where'd you get that? I told you, other Overlanders have fallen. Some years ago, we rescued one, very like you, in face and feature. I cannot recall the exact date, said Vicus, placing the keychain in Gregor's hand. 2 years, 7 months, and 13 days ago. Oh my god, I had that right. Oh my god, yeah, I had that right. It was like 3 years ago. I didn't even know. Thought Gregor. Aloud, he said, "It belongs to my dad." Waves of happiness washed over him as he ran his fingers over the worn leather braid and the metal snap that allowed you to attach it to your belt loop. Memories flashed through his mind, his dad fanning out the keys to find one to open the front door, his dad jingling the keys in front of Lizzie in her stroller, his dad on a picnic blanket in Central Park, using a key to pry open a container of potato salad. Potato salad. Your father. Luxa's eyes widened, and a strange expression crossed her face. Vicus, you do not think I do not know Luxa, but the signs are strong, said Vicus. My mind has been on little else since he arrived. Luxa turned to Gregor, her violet eyes quizzical. What? What was her problem now? Your father, like you, was desperate to return home. With much difficulty, we persuaded him to stay some weeks, but the strain proved too great, and one night, also like you, he slipped away, said Vicus. The rats reached him before we did. Gregor smashed into reality. The joy drained out of him. Of course. There were no other living Overlanders in Regalia. Vicus had told him that in the stadium. His dad had tried to get home and had met up with the same fate Gregor had. Only the Underlanders hadn't been there to save him. He swallowed the lump in his throat. He's dead then. So we assumed. But then came the rumor. The rats had kept him living, said Vicus. Our spies confirm this regularly. He's alive, asked Gregor, feeling hope rush back through him. But why? Why didn't they kill him? We know not with certainty, but I have suspicions. Your father was a man of science, was he not? Asked Vicus. Yeah, he teaches science, said Gregor. He couldn't make any sense of what Vicus was saying. Did the rats want his dad to teach chemistry? Is he stupid? Did the rats want his dad to teach chemistry, Gregor? Gregor, come on now, come on now. The rats want to learn geometry. No, Gregor, what? What? What's he talking about? What? See, this is why Gregor pisses me off. What the hell is he talking about? In our conversations, it was clear he understood the workings of nature, said Vicus, of trap lighting, of fire, of powders that explode. Gregor was beginning to catch his drift. Look, if you think my dad's making guns or bombs for the rats, you can forget it. He would never do that. It is hard to imagine what any of us would do in the caves of the rats, said Vicus gently. To keep sanity must be a struggle. To keep honor, Herculean feat. I am not judging your father, only seeking to explain why he survives so long. The rats fight well in close range, but they wish a way to kill us at a distance, said Luxa. She didn't seem to be accusing his father either, and she didn't seem mad at him anymore. Gregor wished she'd stop staring at him. My wife, Solovent, has a different theory, said Vicus, brightening a little. She believes the rats want your father to make them a thumb. A thumb? Asked Gregor. Boots held up her thumb to show him. Yeah, little girl, I know what a thumb is, he said, smiling down at her. Rats have no thumbs, and therefore cannot do many things that we can. They cannot make tools or weapons. They are masters of destruction, but creation evades them, said Vicus. Be glad, Overlander. If they believe your father can be useful, it is all that will give him time, said Luxa sadly. Did you meet my dad too? He asked. No, she replied. I was too young for such meetings. Luxa was still concerned with her dolls then, said Vicus. Gregor tried to imagine Luxa with a doll, and couldn't. My parents met him, and spoke him well, said Luxa. Her parents. She'd still had parents then. Gregor wondered about how the rats killed them, but knew he'd never ask. Luxa speaks true. At present, the rats are bitter enemies. If you meet a rat outside the walls of Regalia, you have two choices: to fight or be killed. Only the hope of a great advantage would keep a human alive in their paws, especially an Overlander, said Vicus. I don't see why they hate us so much, said Gregor. He thought of Shed's burning eyes, his last words. Overlander, we hunt you to the last rat. Maybe they knew how people in the Overland tried to trap, poison, and kill off all the rats above ground, except the ones they used in lab experiments. Vicus and Luxa shared a look. We must tell him, Luxa. He must know what he faces, said Vicus. Do you really think it is he? She said. Who? Who he who? Said Gregor. Who? He had a bad feeling about where this conversation was going. Vicus rose from the table. Come, he said, and headed out the door. Gregor got up, willing his stiff arms to carry Boots. He and Luxa reached the door at the same time and stopped. After you, he said. She glanced at him sideways and followed Vicus. The halls were lined with Underlanders who watched them pass in silence and then broke into whispers. They did not have to go far before Vicus stopped at a polished wooden door. Gregor realized it was the first wooden thing he'd seen in the Underland. What had Vicus said about something being rare as trees? For trees, you needed lots of sunlight, so how would they grow here? Vicus pulled out a key and opened the door. He took a torch from a holder in the hall and led the way in. Gregor stepped into a room that seemed to be an empty stone cube. On every surface were carvings, not just the walls, but the floor and ceiling too. These weren't the frolicking animals he'd seen elsewhere in Regalia. These were words, tiny words that must have taken forever to chisel out. A, B, C, said Boots, which is what she always said when she saw letters. D, she added for emphasis. These are the prophecies of Bartholomew Sandwich, said Vicus. I forgot about him. Once we sealed the gates, he devoted the rest of his life to recording them. I bet he did, thought Gregor. It sounded like just the kind of thing a crazy old sandwich would do. Drag a bunch of people underground and then lock himself in a room and chip out more crazy stuff on the walls. So, what do you mean prophecies? Asked Gregor. Although he knew what prophecies were, they were predictions of what would happen in the future. Most religions had them, and his grandma loved a book of them by a guy named Nostra something. To hear her talk, the future was pretty depressing. Sandwich was a visionary, said Vicus. He foretold many things that have happened to our people. And a bunch that haven't, asked Gregor, trying to sound innocent. He hadn't ruled out prophecies entirely, but he was skeptical about anything. Sandwich came up with, besides, even if you told someone something that happened in the future, what could you do about it? Some have not unraveled yet, admitted Vicus. He foretold my parents' end, said Luxa sorrowfully, running her fingers over part of the wall. There was no mystery in that. Vicus put his arm around her and looked at the wall. No, he agreed softly. That was as clear as water. Gregor felt awful for about the 10th time that night. From now on, whenever he thought, he would try to talk about the prophecies with respect. But there is one that hangs most heavily over our heads. It is called the prophecy of the Grey. For we know not whether it be fair or foul, said Vicus. We do know that it was to Sandwich the most sacred and maddening of his visions, for he could never see the outcome, although it came to him many, many times. Vicus gestured to a small oil lamp that illuminated a panel of the wall. It was the only light in the room besides the torch. Maybe they kept it burning constantly. Will you read? Asked Vicus, and Gregor approached the panel. The prophecy was written like a poem, in 4 parts. Some of the lettering was odd, but he could make it out. Gregor began to read. Beware, Underlanders. Time hangs by a thread. The hunters are hunted. White water runs red. The Nars will strike to extinguish the rest. The hope of the hopeless resides in a quest. An overland warrior, a son of the sun, may bring us back light. He may bring us back none. But gather your neighbors and follow his call, or rats will most surely devour us all. 2 over, 2 under of royal descent. 2 flyers, 2 crawlers, 2 spinners ascent. 1 gnar beside, and 1 lost ahead, and 8 will be left when we count up the dead. The last who will die must decide where he stands. The fate of the 8 is contained in his hands, so bid him take care, bid him look where he leaps, as life may be death, and death life again reaps. Gregor finished the poem and didn't know quite what to say. He blurted out, "What's that mean?" Bro, what the fuck was all of that? guess that had to do with me. Vicus shook his head. No one knows for certain. It tells of a dark time, when the future of our people is undecided. It calls for a journey, not just of humans, but of many creatures, which may lead either to salvation or ruin. The journey will be led by an Overlander. Yeah, well, I got that part, this warrior guy, said Gregor. You asked why the rats ate the Overlanders so deeply. It is because they know one will be the warrior of prophecy, said Vicus. Oh, I see, said Gregor. So, when's he coming? Vicus fixed his eyes on Gregor. I believe he is already here. Chapter 11. I have nothing to say about that chapter. I just think Gregor is like, I wouldn't be able to spend a room with him. I understand why Luxa is upset with him. I completely understand why she is consistently upset with him, because what is his problem? Chapter 11. Gregor awoke from a fitful sleep. Images of blood-red rivers, his dad surrounded by rats, and boots falling into a bottomless cavern, had woven in and out of his dreams all night long. Oh yeah, and then there was that warrior thing. He had tried to tell them, when Vicus had implied that he was the warrior in the prophecy of Grey. Gregor had actually laughed, but the man was serious. You've got the wrong guy, Gregor had said. I promise I'm not a warrior. Why pretend and get their hopes up? Samurai warriors, Apache warriors, African warriors, medieval warriors. He'd seen movies. He'd read the books. He didn't in any way resemble any warrior. First of all, they were grown up, and they usually had a lot of special weaponry. Gregor was 11, and unless you counted a 2-year-old sister as a special weaponry, he'd also come empty-handed. Also, Gregor was not into fighting. He'd fight back if someone jumped at him in school, but that didn't happen often. He wasn't all that big, but he moved fast, and people didn't like to mess with him. Sometimes he'd step in if a bunch of guys were pounding a small kid. He hated to see that, but he never picked fights, and wasn't fighting what warriors mainly did. Vicus and Luxa had listened to his protests. He thought that he might have convinced Luxa. She didn't have a very high opinion of him anyway, but Vicus was more persistent. How many Overlanders survived the fall to the Underland, do you suppose? I would guess a 10th. And how many survived the rats after that? Perhaps another 10th. So out of 1,000 Overlanders, let us say 10 survive. How passing strange is it that not only your father, but you and your sister came alive to us, said Vicus. I guess it is kind of strange, admitted Gregor, but I don't see why that makes me the warrior. You will when you better understand the prophecy, said Vicus. Each person carries their own destiny. These walls tell of our destiny. And your destiny, Gregor, requires you to play a role in it. I don't know about this destiny thing, said Gregor. I mean, my dad and Boots and we all have the same laundry room, and we landed somewhere pretty close to you, so I'm thinking it's more of a coincidence. I'd like to help, but you guys are probably gonna have to wait a little Vicus just smiled and said they would put it before the council in the morning. This morning. Now. Despite all of his worries, and he had plenty, Gregor couldn't deny a feeling of giddy happiness that shot through him periodically. His dad was alive. Almost instantaneously, another wave of anxiety would rush over him. Yeah, he's alive, but imprisoned by rats. Still, his grandma had always said, where there's life, there's hope. Boy, wouldn't his grandma love it if she knew. Love it if she knew he was talked about in a prophecy. But of course, that wasn't him. That was some warrior guy who would hopefully make an appearance really soon and help him get his dad free. That was his main goal now. How could he rescue his dad? The curtain pulled open, and Gregor squinted at the light. Meredith stood in the doorway. The swelling in his face had gone down, but the bruises were going to be there for a while. Gregor wondered if the guard was still angry with him, but Meredith sounded calm. Gregor the Overlander, the council requests your presence, he said, and if you make haste, you may wash and eat first. Okay, said Gregor. He started to rise, but realized Boots' head was cradled on his arm. He eased himself up without waking her. What about Boots? She may sleep on, said Meredith. Dulcet will watch over her. Gregor bathed quickly and dressed in fresh clothes. Meredith led him to a small room where a meal was laid out, then stood watch at the door. Hey, Meredith, he said, drawing the guard's attention. How is everybody? I mean, Perdita and the bats. Are they okay? Perdita has woken finally. The bats will mend, said Meredith evenly. Oh, that's great, said Gregor with relief. After his father's situation, the thing pressing most on him had been the condition of the Underlanders. He wolfed down bread, butter, and a mushroom omelet. He drank hot tea made some sort of herb, and energy seemed to pour through him. Are you ready to face the council? Asked Meredith, seeing his empty plate. All set, said Gregor, springing up. He felt better than he had since he had reached the Underland. News of his dad, the Underlander's recovery and sleep, and food had revived him. The council, a group of older Underlanders, had gathered at a round table in a room off the high hall. Gregor saw Vicus and Solibet, who gave him an encouraging smile. Luxa was also there, looking tired and defiant. Gregor bet she had been chewed out for joining the rescue party last night. He was sure she hadn't acted one bit sorry. Vicus introduced the people around the table. They all had funny-sounding names that Gregor immediately forgot. The council began to ask him questions, all kinds of things like, when had he been born, and did he know how to swim, and what he did in the Overland. He couldn't figure out why a lot of the stuff was important. Did it really matter that his favorite color was green? But a couple of the Underlanders were scribbling down every word he said, like it was golden. After a while, the council seemed to forget he was there, and they argued among themselves. He got phrases like a son of a son and white water runs red, and knew they were talking about the prophecy. Excuse me, he finally broke in. I guess Vicus didn't tell you, but I am not exactly a warrior. Look, please, what I really need is for you guys to help me bring my dad home. Also, just like a crazy ass thing for him to ask immediately after getting everybody hurt. I know he's 11, but like immediately after getting everybody hurt, he's like, can you guys do me a really big favor and go like fight the rats to go break out my dad from prison? From like rat prison. Like, wow, Gregor really is a selfish boy. Like, he has a lot of development. Suzanne, you really wrote a character that has a development to be made for sure. Like, he's like very selfish. Like, he really does only think about himself. It's crazy. I'm getting like whiplash between like Gregor and Katniss, who like forgets to think about herself. Honestly, whose entire problem is that she's constantly thinking of other people. Everyone at the table stared at him for a moment, and then began to talk with greater excitement. Now he kept hearing the words, "Follow his call." Finally, Vicus rapped on the table for order. Members of the council, we must decide. Here sits Gregor the Overlander. Who counts him the warrior of the prophecy of Grey? 10 of the 12 hands raised. Luxa kept her hands on the table. Either she didn't think he was the warrior, or she wasn't allowed to vote. Probably both. We believe you to be the warrior, said Vicus. If you call us to help you regain your father, then we will answer your call. They were gonna help him. Who cared why? Again, selfish ass boy, I swear to you, selfish kid. Selfish kid, crazy. Okay, great, said Gregor. Whatever it takes. I mean, believe whatever you want. That's fine. We must begin the journey with all haste, said Vicus. I'm ready, said Gregor. Let me just get boots and we can go. Yeah, the baby, said Sullivan, and another round of arguments ensued. Wait, shouted Vicus. This costs much time. Gregor, we do not know that the prophecy includes your sister. What? Said Gregor. He couldn't remember the prophecy very well. He had to ask Vicus if he could get in the room and read it again. The prophecy mentions 12 beings. Only 2 are described as Overlanders. You and your father fill that number, said Sullivan. The prophecy also speaks of 1 lost. That may be your father, in which case Boots is the second Overlander. But it may also be a rat, said Vicus. The journey will be difficult. The prophecy warns that 4 of the 12 will lose life. It might be wisest to leave Boots here. From around the table came a general murmur of assent. Gregor's head began to swim. Leave Boots. Leave her here in regalia with the Underlanders. He couldn't do that. It wasn't that they thought that they'd mistreat her, but she'd be so lonely. What if he and his dad didn't make it back? She'd never get home. Still, he knew how vicious the rats were, and they would be they would be hunting him to the last rat. He didn't know what to do. He looked at the set faces and thought the Underlanders had already decided to split them up. Stay together. Wasn't that what his mom always told him when he took his sisters out? Stay together. Then he noticed Luxa was avoiding his gaze. She had intertwined her fingers on the stone table before her and was staring at them tensely. What would you do if it were your sister, Luxa? He asked. The room got very quiet. He could tell the council didn't want to hear her opinion. I have no sister, Overlander, said Luxa. Gregor felt disappointed. He heard a murmur of approval from some council members. Luxa's eyes flashed around the table, and she scowled. But if I did, and I were you, she said passionately, I would never take my eyes off her. He said thank you, but he didn't think she could hear him in the loud round of objections that poured from the council. He raised his voice. If Boots doesn't go, I don't go. The room was in an uproar when a bat veered through the doorway and crashed on the table, silencing everyone. A ghostly woman slumped over the bat, pressing her hands to her chest to stem a flow of blood. One of the bat's wings folded in, but the other extended at an awkward angle, clearly broken. Angel is dead. Daphne is dead. The rats found shed a finger. King Gregor has launched his armies. They come for us, gasped the woman. Vicus caught the woman as she collapsed. How many, Kita? He asked. Many, she whispered. Many rats. And she went limp. Gregor is not understanding the reality of what is happening here. He's talking about his dad like he's not about to go to war with rats. Like, Gregor being like 6 steps behind is certainly something. It's definitely something. That's all I have to say. I just don't think he's understanding like the grasp of like what is happening here. Like, I don't think he's understanding it at all. Like, at all. And it's quite weird because I don't know why he's not understanding it at all. It's not a hard thing to grasp. But okay, let's just see. Chapter 12. Sound the alarm, shouted Vicus, and the place exploded in frantic activity. Horns began blowing, people rushed in and out. Bats swooped in for orders and disappeared again, without taking time to land. Everyone ignored Gregor as they shifted into emergency mode. He wanted to ask Vicus what was going on. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, Gregor, it's the way that Gregor is written in this book, where it's like a woman just came on the table with like a dead bat and she's bleeding profusely, and Gregor is like, what's going on? After listening to that, like, that is what gets me, where I'm like, he's like not getting it, like it's not clicking for him, and I don't know when it's gonna click, but it's not getting it at all. But the old man stood in the high hall in a blur of bat wings giving commands. Gregor went out to the balcony and could see regalia swarming like a beehive. Many rats were coming. The Underlanders were going into defense mode. Suddenly, he realized they were at war. Exactly what I just said. The terrifying thought, and at the height of the balcony, made Gregor lightheaded. As he stumbled back inside, a strong hand caught his arm. Gregor the Overlander, prepare yourself, for we leave shortly, said Vicus. For where? Where are we going? Asked Gregor. To rescue your father, said Vicus. Now. We can go with the rats attacking, said Gregor. I mean, there's a war starting, right? Not any war. We believe it is the war foretold in the prophecy of the Grey. The one that will bring about the complete annihilation of our people, said Vicus. Pursuing the quest for your father is the best hope of surviving it, said Vicus. I can take Boots, right? Said Gregor. I mean, I'm taking her. He corrected himself. Yes, Boots shall come, said Vicus. But what should I do? You said to prepare myself, asked Gregor. Vicus thought for a second and called Merith over. Take him to the museum and let him choose whatever he thinks may aid him on his journey. Here's a delegation from Troy, said Vicus. He stepped into another storm of wings. Gregor ran after Merith, who had sprinted for the door. 3 3 staircases, and several halls later, they arrived at a large chamber filled with loaded shelves. Whoa, everything just shifted. Whoa, 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 whoa. Don't do all that. Everything just shifted on me. I don't like that. Okay, we're good. Here is that which is fallen from the Overland. Remember, what you choose, you must carry, instructed Merith, thrusting a leather bag with a drawstring into his hands. The shelves were filled with everything from baseballs to car tires. Gregor wished he had the time to go through the stuff more carefully. Some of it must have been hundreds of years old. But time was a luxury he didn't have. He tried to focus. What could he take that would have helped on the trip? What did he need most from the Underland? Light. He found a flashlight in working condition and collected batteries from every single electrical thing he could find. Something else caught his eye. It was a hard hat, like construction workers wore. There was a built-in light on the front, so they could see in the inky tunnels beneath New York City. He grabbed the hat and crammed it on his head. "We must go," ordered Merith. "We must get your sister and take flight." Gregor turned to follow him, and then he saw it. Root beer. An honest-to-goodness, unopened, only slightly dented can of root beer. It looked pretty new. He knew it was an extravagance, that he could only take the essentials, but he had to have it. It was his favorite drink, plus it made him think of home. He stuffed the can in his bag. It was an extravagance, and he should not have taken it, but I'm sure it will have a plot relevancy later. The nursery was nearby. Gregor ran in and saw Boots sitting happily among 3 Underlander toddlers having a tea party. For a second, he almost changed his mind and left her there. Wouldn't she be safer here, in the palace? But then he remembered the palace would soon be under siege by rats. Gregor knew he couldn't leave her to face that alone. Whatever happened, they would stay together. Dulcet quickly helped Gregor into a backpack and slid Boots inside. He fastened a small bundle to the base of the backpack. "Catch cloths," she said, "and a few toys and some treats." "Thanks," said Gregor, grateful somebody had thought of the practical side of traveling with Boots. "Fare you well, sweet Boots," said Dulcet. She kissed the baby's cheeks. "Bye-bye, Dulcie," said Boots. "See you soon." That was what they always parted with at Gregor's house. "Don't worry, I'll be back. See you soon." Dulcet's probably gonna die, right? She's probably like dead after this. She's probably fully dead. Like everybody here is gonna die. They already said in the prophecy like 4 people are gonna die. So I'm assuming it's gonna be Vicus because he's the mentor. So Vicus is gonna die. Dulcet is dead because she's a chambermaid. She's dead. To be honest, I wouldn't even put past it. But this is her first book. It's Suzanne Collins' first book. But I think the baby's gonna die. I think if Suzanne is really about it, Boots is gonna die by the end of this book. Actually, it would be more impactful if she dies, like, if she dies in book 2. But I do think, like, Boots should die too. 4 people are gonna die. I don't know. I think Gregor bringing along Boots on this prophecy, I know he's 11 years old, but him bringing along Boots on this prophecy is fucking crazy, because if I heard a prophecy that was like, yeah, there's 5 of you on this trip, and 3 of you are gonna die by the end of this. I mean, do you want to like fuck around with those odds? There's what, 11 people on the trip, and 4 people are gonna die. I have to go back to the prophecy. What did they say? They said like 11 people are on the trip and 4 of them are gonna die, I feel like I don't know, maybe if it was like one person's gonna die, you know? That's 4 people, what did they say? An Overlander, son of sun. 2 over, 2 under, 2 over, 2 under, 2 flyers, 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, 13, 14. And 8 will be left when we count up the dead, so only 8 are gonna survive. Out of 14, only 8 people are gonna survive. So, you know, I just feel like those odds, 14 and then only 8 are gonna survive, like I'm just like, yeah, I don't know about all that. 2 over, 2 under, 2 flyers, 2 crawlers. Because if I'm reading this prophecy, to be honest, like the crawler could be Boots, because Boots crawls because she's a baby. I know they're talking about crawlers as in like the bugs, but it could also be her. Like she could also be classified as a crawler. Or she could be a Nar because she teethes on things, like she's a baby. And one lost up ahead, which could be her father, their father. Which would mean that they might meet somebody else. This entire prophecy could mean like a bunch of different things. I would not bring this baby on this trip. This prophecy could mean like 16 different things. Because you could meet another Overlander. Like there's 5 different portals. Another one could fall down at any point. And then there would be 2 Overlanders, not 3, and then Boots would be the crawler, or she could be the one, or she could be the Nar. This is a horrible prophecy. I would not bring this baby along. This, like, Gregor is 11 and not thinking clearly. He's not thinking clearly at all. Like, this is crazy. Let me see. Yes, I will see you soon, said Dulcet, but her eyes filled with tears. Take care, Dulcet, said Gregor, giving her a hand an awkward shake. Fly you high, Gregor the Overlander, she said. In the high hall, the mission was readying for departure. Several bats had lit on the ground and were being loaded with supplies. Gregor saw Henry hugging a painfully thin teenage girl goodbye. She was weeping uncontrollably despite his efforts to comfort her. The dreams, brother. They have worsened. Some terrible evil awaits you. Do not distress yourself, Nerissa. I have no plans to die. Does he know about the prophecy? Does he know? If it were me, I would take my chances with the motherfucking rats. 14 people are gonna come on this trip, and 8 are only gonna survive. Your chances, Henry, are very slim, actually. Like, does he know? That's exactly what I was thinking about. Does he know? Henry's like, I don't have any plans to die. Does he know he's being written by Suzanne Collins? Like, he's definitely gonna die now that he said that. Dulcet is dead. Henry is dead. Everybody's dead. I have like 0 faith that anybody is gonna survive except for Gregor, obviously. Like, what if he meets his dad and his dad is like evil? There's like so many scenarios here where it's like, what if his dad now works with the rats and like he's really about it? Like, you can't bring that man home, you have to kill him right here and then go home. He can't go back. He was working for rats for 2 years. Oh my god, no. There are evils beyond death, said his sister. Fly you high, was a velvety black bat. Gregor watched nervously as the girl came his way. He could never think of the right things to say when people cried, but she had pulled herself together by the time she'd reached him. She held out a small roll of paper. "For you, Overlander," she said. "Fly you high." And before he could answer, she had moved away, leaning on the wall for support. He opened the paper, which wasn't a paper but some sort of dried animal skin, and saw that the prophecy of Grey had been carefully written upon it. "That's so weird," thought Gregor. He had been wishing he could read it again to maybe figure out more of it. He had meant to ask Vicus, but had forgotten in a rush. "How did she know that I wanted this?" she murmured to Boots. "Narissa knows many things. She has the gift," said a boy mounting the golden bat. On second glance, Gregor realized that it was Luxa, but her hair had been cropped off close to her head. "What happened to your hair?" asked Gregor, stuffing the prophecy in his pocket. "Long locks are dangerous in battle," said Luxa carelessly. "That's too bad. I mean, it looks good too," said Gregor quickly. Luxa burst out laughing. "Gregor the Overlander, think you my beauty is of any matters in such times?" Gregor felt his face hot with embarrassment. That's not what I meant." Luxa just shook her head at Henry, who was grinning back at her. "The Overlander speaks the truth, cousin. You look like a shorn sheep." I like the way that I actually am like not interested in whatever they have going on. Like, Gregor and Luxa is clearly like the romantic relationship here, and I truly don't care because I don't even think Gregor can handle all of that. To be completely honest, like, he can't even handle himself. What? He can't handle all of that. I think Luxa deserves better. Dare I say it? Dare I say I'm actually on her side after thinking about the recap. "All the better," said Luxa, "for who would attack a sheep?" "Bah," said Boots. "Bah." And Henry laughed so hard he almost fell off his bat. "Sheep says bah," Boots said, which set him off again. Gregor almost laughed too, and for a moment he had felt as if he were amongst friends. But these people had a long way to go before I could consider them friends. To cover his slip, he concentrated on finding a comfortable way to carry his leather bag that would leave his hands free. He tied it to the side strap of his bag. When he glanced up, he found Luxa looking at him curiously. "What wear on your head, Overlander?" she asked. "It's a hard hat, with a light," said Gregor. He flicked it on enough to show her. He could tell she was itching to try it, but she didn't want to ask. Gregor quickly weighed his options in his head. True, they weren't friends, but it was better to get along with her if he could. He needed her to get his dad. Gregor held out the hat. "Here, check it out." Luxa tried to appear indifferent, but her fingers worked the light switch eagerly. "How do you keep the light inside without air? Does it not get hot on your head?" she asked. "It runs on a battery. It's electricity. There's a layer of plastic between the light and your head. You can try it on if you want," said Gregor. Without hesitation, Luxa popped the hat on her head. "Vicus has told me of electricity," she said. She shot the beam of light around the room before returning it to Gregor reluctantly. "Here, you must save your fuel." "You will begin a new fashion," said Henry cheerfully. He grabbed one of the small stone torches off the wall and laid it on top of his head. Flames seemed to be shooting out of his forehead. "What think you, Luxa?" he asked, showing her his profile with exaggerated haughtiness. "Your hair is a light she suddenly gasped and pointed. Henry dropped the torch and beat at his ear as Luxa went into hysterics. Realizing it was a joke, Henry caught her in a headlock and rubbed her short hair with his knuckles while she laughed helplessly. For a minute, they could have been a couple of kids in the Overland, just a brother, a sister, like Gregor and Lizzie wrestling around. Vicus strode across the hall. "You two are in a merry mood, considering we are at war," said he said with a frown and holted onto his bats. He said, "Stop fucking around. We're about to be attacked by rats in like 5 minutes." Crazy work. "It is only an access of spirit, Vicus," said Henry, releasing Luxa. "Save your spirit. You will have need of it where we're going. Ride you with me, Gregor," said Vicus, extending a hand. Gregor swung up behind him on his big gray bat. Boots kicked at his side in anticipation. Me too, she chirped. "Mount up," called Vicus, and Henry and Luxa leaped onto their bats. Gregor could spot Sullivan and Merith preparing to leave also. Merith was riding a bat he hadn't seen before. His other bat was probably still recovering. "To the air," ordered Sullivan, and the 5 bats lifted off in a V formation. As they rose up in the air, Gregor felt like he would burst from excitement and happiness. They were going to get his dad. They would rescue him and take him home, and his mother would smile, really smile again, and there would be holidays to celebrate, not to dread, and music, and he was getting ahead of himself. He was breaking his rule right and left, and in a minute he would stop. But for that minute, he would go ahead and imagine as much as he wanted. As they veered sideways over the city of Regalia, Gregor was reminded of the gravity of their task by the manic activity below. The gates to the stadium were being fortified with huge stone slabs. Wagons of food clogged the roads. People carrying children and bundles were hurrying toward the palace. Extra torches were being lit in all quarters, so the city looked almost bathed in sunlight. "Wouldn't you want it darker if there's going to be an attack?" asked Gregor's stupid-ass question. "No, but the rats would. We need our eyes to fight. They do not," said Vicus. "Most of the rats, most of the creatures in the Underland, the crawlers, the bats, the fish, they do not need light. We humans are lost without it." Gregor tucked that bit of information away in his brain. The flashlight had been the best thing to bring after all. The city quickly gave way to farmland, and Gregor had his first glimpse of how the Underlanders fed themselves. Great fields of some type of grain grew under row upon row of hanging white lamps. "What runs the lamps?" asked Gregor. "They burn with gas from the earth. Your father was most impressed with our fields. He suggested a plan for lighting our city too, but at the moment all the light must go for food," said Vicus. Did an Overlander show you how to do that?" asked Gregor. "Gregor, we did not leave our minds in the Overland. When we fell, we have inventors just as you do, and light is most precious to us. Think you we poor Underlanders might not have stumbled upon some manner of harnessing it ourselves?" said Vicus good-naturedly. Gregor felt sheepish. He had sort of thought that the Underlanders were kind of backwards. They still used swords and wore funny clothes, but they weren't stupid. His dad said even the cavemen had geniuses among them. Somebody had thought up the wheel. "Gregor, that's racist. You can't say that." "Gregor, that's crazy. You can't say that." He's like, "I thought these people were subhuman." You can't say that. Sylvette flew parallel to them, but she was deep in conversation with a pair of bats that had joined the party. She uncurled a large map on her bat's back. I lost my page. Oh, and scrutinized it. Is she trying to find where my dad is? Gregor asked Vicus. She's forming a plan of attack, said Vicus. My wife leads our warriors. She goes with us, not to direct the quest, but to gauge the level of support we may expect from our allies. Really? I thought you were in charge. Well, you and Luxa, he said. Because really, he couldn't tell how that all worked out. Luxa seemed able to order people around, but she could still get in trouble for stuff. Luxa will ascend the throne when she turns 16. Until then, Regalia is ruled by the council. I am but a humble diplomat who spends his spare time trying to teach prudence to the royal youth. You see how well I succeeded, Vicus said wryly. He glanced at Henry and Luxa, who were flipping wildly in the sky, trying to knock each other off their bats. Do not let Sullivet's gentle demeanor fool you. In the planning of battle, she is more cunning and wily than a rat. Wow, said Gregor. Her gentle demeanor had fooled him. Gregor's like, wow, a woman in charge. This is crazy. Wow, a woman in charge. Now this is something new. Gregor shifted his weight on the bat, and something poked his leg. He pulled the prophecy Nerissa had given him from his pocket and unrolled it. Maybe now would be a good time to ask Vicus some questions. So, do you think you could explain this Grey prophecy to me? The prophecy of Grey, corrected Vicus. What of it puzzles you? The whole thing, thought Gregor. But he said, maybe we could just go through it piece at a time. He studied the poem. Beware, Underlanders. Time hangs by a thread. Well, that seemed pretty clear. It was a warning. And don't worry, my nose is like super... My nose is like itchy all the time. It's like throwing me off. It was a warning. The hunters are hunted. Water runs red. He asked Vicus to unravel the second line. The rats are traditionally the hunters of the Underland, for they would happily track and kill the rest of us. Last night we hunted them to save you, so the hunters were hunted. White water ran red when we left their bodies to the river. Oh, said Gregor. Something was bothering him, but he couldn't put his finger on it. The Nars will strike to extinguish the rest. Are the Nars the rats? He asked. Exactly so, said Vicus. The hope of the hopeless resides in a quest. The quest to get his dad. So, he'd escaped. The Underlanders had saved him, and now they were at war and off on the quest. Gregor suddenly knew what was bothering him. So, this whole thing is my fault. He said it never would have happened if I hadn't tried to escape. He thought of the approaching army of rats. What had he done? Oh yeah, it actually is all of his fault. I can't even deny it is his fault. That's what I've been saying. No, Gregor, says Vicus. It is his fault though. No, Gregor, put that from your mind. You are but one player in a very long, difficult tale. The prophecy of Grey trapped you as it trapped us long ago. It is his fault. It is his fault. Everything is his fault, to be honest. Gregor was silent. He didn't exactly feel better. Read on, said Vicus, and Gregor's head drooped to the page. The lights of Regalia had faded away. He had to squint to read by torchlight. An overland warrior, a son of the sun, may bring us back light, he may bring us back none, but gather your neighbors ears and follow his call, or rats will most surely devour us all. So you say this part is about me, he said unhappily. Yes, you are the Overland warrior for obvious reasons, said Vicus. Although Gregor did not think the reasons were too obvious. You are a son of the sun, as an Overlander, but also the son who seeks his father. This is a comedic wordplay. Yeah, he was a funny guy, said Gregor, glumly. Now, the lines that follow are most gray, said Vicus. Sandwich could never clearly see if in fact you succeed in bringing back light, or if you fail. But he most adamantly insisted we attempt the venture or die by the rat's teeth. Well, that's not too inspiring, said Gregor, but for the first time Sandwich had struck a chord with him. The possibility that Gregor might fail made the whole prophecy more plausible. What sort of light am I supposed to bring back? Asked Gregor. Is there a secret torch or something? That's a metaphor. By light, sandwich means life. If the rats can truly extinguish our light, they extinguish our life as well, said Vicus. A metaphor. Gregor thought an actual torch would be easier to bring back. How could he bring back some metaphor thing that he didn't really understand? That could be tricky, he said. He read on. 2 over, 2 under of royal descent, 2 flyers, 2 crawlers, 2 spinners ascent. What are all those 2s about? Asked Gregor. That tells us whom we must persuade to accompany us on the quest. We are proceeding as if the 2 over are you and your sister, 2 under of royal descent are Luxa and Henry. Henry's sister Nerissa, as you may have gleaned, was not a possible choice. Flyers are bats, crawlers are cockroaches, spinners are spiders. So we go now to assemble our neighbors in the order that the prophecy dictates. First, the bats. The number of bats had been increasing as they flew. Henry led the party into the vast cave. Gregor gave a little jump when he realized the ceiling was bumpy, with hundreds of hanging bats. But don't we already have bats? Asked Gregor. We need official permission to take them on the quest, said Vicus. Also, there are the matters of war to discuss. The towering cylinder of stone sat in the center of the cave. Its sides were as slick as those of the palace. On the round, flat top, a group of bats waited. Vicus turned his back to Gregor and whispered, We humans know you to be the warrior, but other creatures may have doubts. Whoever you think you may or may not be, it is essential that our neighbors believe that you are the one. Gregor was trying to unwind that in his head when they landed next to the bats on the huge pillar of stone. The humans all dismounted, deep bows, and greetings followed on both sides. One particularly impressive silvery white bat appeared to be in charge. Queen Athena, Vicus said, presented him. Meet you, Gregor the Overlander. Be you the warrior? Be you he who calls? Asked the bat in a soft purr. Well, actually, Gregor saw Vicus frown and pulled up short. He'd been about to go into a spiel about how he wasn't the warrior, but then what? Vicus had whispered something about others believing he was the one. There was a war beginning. The bats weren't likely to send off valuable flyers on a wild goose chase. If he denied he was the warrior now, the quest would be called off, and his father would be as good as dead. That sealed it. Gregor stood up straight and tried to control the waver that slipped into his voice. I am the warrior. I am he who calls. spoke with such certainty that for a moment, Gregor succeeded in thinking of himself as a warrior, a bold, brave, powerful warrior that the Underlanders would tell stories about for centuries. He could almost see himself leading a squadron of bats into battles, stunning the rats, saving the Underland from... I have to pee, announced Boots. And there he stood, a boy in a goofy hard hat, with a beat-up flashlight and a bunch of batteries. He hadn't even tested to see if they still had juice. The mighty warrior excused himself and went to go change a diaper. I think it'd be interesting if... I feel like you're thinking of El Dorado. I'm actually thinking of Spy Kids 2. It's Spy Kids 2, where, Junie Cortez, he's like, I am the guy. Is it Spy Kids 2 or is it Spy Kids 3? What am I thinking? Is it Spy Kids 2 or 3? I'm the guy. That's what I'm thinking of, Spy Kids 2. No, it's Spy Kids 3, it's Spy Kids 3, I know. Wait, Spy Kids 2 has, it's the Lost Island. Spy Kids 3, I didn't even have to look that up. Spy Kids 3 is the one I'm thinking of, yes. Because I was like, no, Spy Kids 2 is the one with Steve Buscemi. Where he's like, do you think God stays in heaven for what? Because he's afraid of his own creations. Yes, that's Spy Kids 2. So Spy Kids 3, Game Over, is the one where he's like, yeah, I'm not the guy. Everybody keeps asking me if I'm the guy. He's like, I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy. And then he like deludes himself into believing like he really is the guy. And then the actual guy who is, oh my god, why can't I remember his name? I'm thinking Over the Garden Wall voice actor, also in Lord of the Rings. I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now. Oh my god, who plays? Who does he play in Lord of the Rings? Frodo, Lord of the Rings. Am I crazy? Who is this man? What's his name? What's his name again? What's his name again? Who's this man? Elijah Wood. Yes, it's him. So then Elijah Wood comes in Spy Kids 3, and he's like, no, actually, I've been the guy the whole time. Like at the back half of the movie, he's like, I've been the guy the whole time. And then he gets killed immediately. He had like 100 lives and now loses all of them. And then everybody's like, anyway, Junie, you're back to being the guy. On the actual guy, I don't want any lore on that man. I will say that, like, I always hated the ending of Spy Kids 3. I thought it was such a, like, a boring ending. It's like family. It felt so, like, Vin Diesel. I always hated the ending. It's like family is what unites us all together. We're gonna solve this by calling up everybody that we know. All of our family. And it was so weird too. There's so many weird points in that movie, Spy Kids 3, because he was also getting like bullied. There were like 3 guys that he was like hanging around throughout the entire movie, and I can't remember any of their names because they don't matter. I'm talking about the ending. The ending. You're not listening to what I'm saying. The ending. You're having your selective listening. I like the movie in parts, but like the ending I'm not really fond of, because he like leaves the game and then he sees the guys and he's like, why are you guys so different? He's like, you guys are all so different. And it's like the jock is actually a nerd and the nerd is actually a jock, and he's like, oh, this is so weird. And it's like, when did that movie come out? I was like, I always found like that section to be so weird too. He's like, you really think that people would lie on the internet? People would lie about who they are on the internet. When did Spy Kids 3 come out? It came out in 2003. Was 2003 still the era where people were doing like internet, I guess guess it was, right? People, they had that like advert, when did that advert stop airing, where it's like you wouldn't download a car. You wouldn't download a car, would you? I mean, I guess it was still the era of like people lying on the internet, or like people being like freaked out that people lied on the internet. In my head, everybody's just always been a liar on the internet, so like, I don't know. 2003, I guess. I will say that, like, yeah, Spy Kids 3 is like the one I've probably seen the most, even though I think Spy Kids 2 is like a better movie overall. Anyway, back to this book. I gotta wrap it up. I gotta finish. Actually, I have finished with chapter 13. I think I'm gonna read chapter 13, and then I'm gonna go to bed. Let me see. No, actually, I don't know when the next app break is. I said I was only gonna do like 2 hours today. When's the next app break? 5 minutes, perfect. Yes, I'm gonna read the next chapter, and then after that, I'm done for the night. I'm going to be at chapter 13. Ficus. I will say though, before I read chapter 13, I think Suzanne Collins, and I don't know if this is like her, or this is, I don't know if this is like her, or this is like her editor or the publisher. I wonder who published Gregor the Overlander, because there's like a lot of comedy in this book, and I don't know why. To be completely honest, and that's not to say that Suzanne is like not a funny person, you know, I don't know her obviously, but like it's just really weird that there's a lot of comedy in this book. Like it's kind of like Marvel-esque comedy, and I mean that a little bit derogatory. I do mean that like a little bit in a derogatory way, because like it reads like a script from like a Marvel Disney Plus TV show, you know what I'm saying? Like some certain sections read in that way, and it's really weird to me because, but then again, this is the first book that she wrote before the Hunger Games, and it's like, I can see it, you know, like I can see that this is the first book that she wrote, because when she's talking about like more of the serious stuff, it's like way more engaging, but whenever she like consistently will like break it up with like comedy, and personally for me, I feel like it doesn't land. That's just me, because I'm like, can we be a little bit more serious about what's going on here? Like, and it makes me wonder, like, did she want to write the comedy in that, or did the editors tell her, well, you're a YA author, you have to write comedy because you're a YA author, like the kids are going to be reading this. And then she wrote this book serious, and then was like, actually, I think I'm just gonna write something darker for my next series, because there is comedy in the Hunger Games, but yeah, like I actually do want the story to kind of lock in a little bit more, actually, because there is comedy in the Hunger Games, but it's few and far in between, because like shit's not funny. To be completely honest, like there is comedy, like Haymitch is a funny character, Effie is a funny character, but it's all, and like they are funny, they give like bits of comedy here and there, but like also there's a reason why, because shit isn't funny. There's nothing to laugh about in the Hunger Games. Like, why would we be laughing and telling jokes? What's funny? What's funny about children dying and having to watch your loved ones die from starvation? Like, what's funny about that? So they're like, isn't that much to laugh about, right? But like, even in this situation, I guess you could say there are things to laugh about, but like actually like shit isn't funny. That's why I'm like, I want want us to lock in a little bit more, because if we're really looking at what's happening, like, they're about to go to war. Like, there's a prophecy. People are gonna die. People have gotten hurt already from the rats, and that was just 2 rats. Now there's a whole swarm of rats coming to kill everybody and annihilate all of these humans. And like, I just feel like it needs to be a little bit more serious. And I just don't know if it's just because it's the first book and like it's gonna get more serious later, because like I desperately need Gregor to lock in. Like, I desperately need him to lock in. Like, I'm actually like, how many pages into this book are we? How many pages are we in? We're like pretty far. We're 76 pages in. We're 76 pages in, and like he's like not locking in still. It's like, I'm not saying that he needs to, like, because Gregor, and I don't want to judge these 2 protagonists together. I don't want to judge them, because honestly, like, Katniss is a completely different character than, like, they're not similar in any way, shape, or form. But also, it's like, can this 11-year-old lock in? Like, he thinks this shit's a game. Can he lock the fuck in? Like, he just saw blood in that last battle and he's still making jokes. Like, lock in. Like, this is not the time for all of that. Like, and I don't know. I don't know. I want him to lock in. I feel like it doesn't help. What's my favorite book ever? My favorite book series is a series of unfortunate events. That's not like the best book series ever written, but it's my favorite book series, so it's my favorite. I just think that like he doesn't, and what was I gonna say earlier? I don't know if it's helped either by the fact that I feel like the book is also holding my hand a little bit. I like those books. Yeah, I really like the mystery in it, and I also like the fact that I haven't read those books in a really long time, but I appreciate the fact that like they're not holding my hand in those books. For the most part, like if something, like they don't tell you things in the book, and then they just never tell you. And then they just like never tell you, you know? Like there's a lot of mystery in the book that doesn't get solved. And it just kind of is what it is, you know? It kind of lets you figure things out. But I feel like this book is kind of holding my hand a little bit. Book 6. I know who it's by. I know who it's by. Is that the book that I have on my shelf? I have been meaning to collect the entire book series, but I actually don't know. I turned around to look, but I actually don't know which book is on my shelf. I only have a few of the series of unfortunate events books on my shelf. I actually don't think that's the one on my shelf. I have, or is it? Which book is this? Which book is this one? Oh, no. Oh, I kept confusing them because book 6 is red and book 12 is like a orangey red. I have book 12. Yep. I love a series of unfortunate events. I love those kids. It's a great series. Good YA series. But then again, I haven't read it in a really long time, so I some point over again, but later, at a later point. Yeah, I just feel like this book is also holding my hand a little bit, and I wish it wasn't. Like, I'm not asking, like, Gregor to not react to things, but it feels like Gregor is, like, sometimes being a self-insert character, where, like, things get repeated that I don't really feel like I needed repeated. Where it's like, well, why did we have this entire page talking about this? Because it just kind of feels like everybody's yapping. It does. It feels like everybody's yapping and I'm witnessing it and I'm like, what is going on? Like, what is going on here? Like, what is going on? Like, for example, this actually reminded me, I kept thinking when Gregor was reading the prophecy to Vicus, I kept thinking about, what did we just read? The City of Light. What did we just read? Before this, we had read the book about, like, the underground city with the lights. Ironically, two books with underground cities. And the City of Embers, I think, yeah, that's what that was, City of Embers. And there was also a prophecy in that one, but it made sense for them to kind of break down the prophecy. In this one, I'm looking at it and I'm like, so why did he do that? So, like, why did we just have 3 pages of him breaking down the prophecy? Because we didn't even break down the most interesting parts of the prophecy. We broke down the first half of the prophecy. The hunters are being hunted, correct. I feel like that was very easy to understand. The Gnars will strike to extinguish the rest, correct. Very easy to understand. I think the only part that honestly Gregor could have asked about was this last part, which has to do with him being the warrior. Because Gregor, which is an interesting thing that I was thinking about that I haven't voiced yet, but in both of her books, Suzanne has written protagonists that do not want to be the chosen one. Like Katniss was like forced to be the chosen one because she was the survivor of the Hunger Games. Spoilers, duh. She was a survivor of the Hunger Games. And then everybody made her like a martyr afterwards. They made her like the symbol unwillingly, right? Like, she did not want to be put in that position. She was 16 years old. She didn't want to do that. She wanted to live her life with PETA, and unfortunately everybody was like, absolutely not. Back in the games you go. Unfortunately not. It sounds like somebody wants more drama. And then this one too, like, Gregor doesn't want to be the warrior. He's like, I'm just trying to find my dad. Like, I want to find my dad and go back to New York City. But also, it's like, then why the fuck is he asking about all this? Like, in character, it doesn't make sense for Gregor to be asking about all of this if he really doesn't believe that he is the warrior. That's why I'm like, it feels like they're holding my hand. Like, this feels like a self-insert moment where the author is like, whoever is reading this needs me to break down the prophecy for them. And it's like, I really didn't need you to hold my hand for this part. I got it. I understood what was happening. Because he doesn't believe that he's the warrior, so why the fuck is he asking about the prophecy? He doesn't believe it. He thinks he's just telling everybody a lie so that he can get his daddy back. Actually, the most interesting part that he would have asked about, right, in character for him would be the warrior part. And then also, he would have asked about that last bit of prophecy where they say 8 will be left when we count up the dead. And the last part that says the last who will die must decide where he stands. The fate of the 8 is contained in his hands. You didn't think that needed further investigating? Like, I would have focused on that. I mean, they probably are going to talk about it later, obviously. obviously, but like in character, like Gregor would have been like, what do you mean only 8 of us are gonna survive? Like, that's actually what he would have said. And I know it's like, that's why I'm like, did the editors make her write it that way because this was her first book series? And I'm just thinking about like publishing and whatnot, and I do know that like first time writers kind of get forced to add extra stuff in the books that maybe they wouldn't have intended to write. So I'm like curious about what the first draft kind of looked like for this. And maybe like the publisher was like, oh, this is like too much, you gotta explain everything. And it's like, I don't need this to be explained. It feels like we can get to the meat and potatoes like a lot faster, you know? At least that's just how I feel, where I'm like, damn, I want to get to the meat and potatoes. Like, I want to go on this fucking quest. And it feels like we're dragging it. I'm getting dragged. I just want to get on the quest already. Like, we don't need all that, because it doesn't even feel like Gregor would be asking those questions. Anyway, I'm gonna read chapter 13, and then I'm gonna go to bed. So let's see. Chapter 13. Vicus and Sullivan arranged to have some sort of private war meeting with the bats. Do you need me to go along? Asked Gregor. It was less that he thought he could contribute to the meeting, and more that he felt safer when Vicus was around. Being stranded on top of a tall pillar surrounded by hundreds of bats made him a little uncomfortable, and who would be in charge if anything came up? Luxa. That was no good. No thank you, Gregor. We will be discussing battle, position for our forces, not the efforts of the quest. We will not be absent long. And it's also like, I'm just thinking reflection, like his hatred, I feel like they're trying to do like an enemies to like friends to lovers situation with Luxa and Gregor, right? And I felt like we initially had that going, but the minute that Gregor got 2 people injured and put 1 person in a coma and like almost killed a bat because he decided that he wanted to escape, and Luxa saved his life, like, he cannot be making these comments anymore. They're kind of weird, in my personal opinion. It's kind of weird that he's like on her ass this much, especially after like she like risked her own life and also got in trouble with the council to go save his life against those rats. Like, it made sense initially because they didn't know each other, but like after this, why is he still on her ass? It doesn't make any sense. No problem, said Gregor, but inside he wasn't so sure. Before they left, Vicus's big gray bat murmured something in Lux's ear. She smiled, looked at Gregor, and nodded. Probably laughing at me, saying I'm a warrior, thought Gregor, but that was not it. Eurydice says you're bruising his sides, said Luxa. He wants me to teach you to ride. That bothered Gregor. He thought he'd been doing pretty well for a first-timer. What's he mean I'm bruising his side? You're holding on too strongly with your legs. You must trust the bats. They will not drop you, said Luxa. It is the first lesson we teach the babies. Said Gregor. Luxa had a way of putting him down, even when he wasn't trying. Gregor is a very insecure little boy. This is me like hating on Gregor for 20 minutes, but like he is a little insecure because it's like that she didn't even mean it like that, and he knows that. It is easier for the babies, said Meredith quickly, like your sister. They have not yet learned much fear. We have a saying down here, courage you can count. Can you count, Boots? Barrett held his fingers up before Boots, who was busy trying to tug off Gregor's sandal. 1, 2, 3. Boots grinned and held up her pudgy fingers in imitation. 1, 2, 3, she said, and lifted both hands in the air at her accomplishment. Henry scooped up Boots and held her at arm's length the way someone might hold a wet puppy. Boots has no fear, nor will she when she masters counting. You like to fly, do you not, Boots? Go for a ride on the bat. He said mischievously. I ride, said Boots, and wiggled to get out of Henry's uncomfortable hold. Then ride you, said Henry, and tossed her right off the side of the pillar. Henry's kind of funny. He just threw a baby off the side of the edge. That's kind of hilarious. He threw that whole baby off the side of the edge. Gregor gasped as he saw Boots, as if in slow motion, sail out of Henry's hands into the dark. Henry, said Barrett in shock, but Luxa was cracking up. Gregor staggered to the side of the pillar and squinted into the darkness. The faint torchlight provided by the bats illuminated only a few yards. Had Henry really thrown Boots to her death? He couldn't believe it, he couldn't. A happy squeal came from above his head. More. Boots. But what was she doing up there? Gregor fumbled at his flashlight. The beam was strong and cut a wide swathe of light through the blackness. 20 bats were wheeling around the cave, playing some kind of game of catch with Boots. One would take her up high and flip over, sending the toddler free-falling to the ground. But long before she reached it, another bat would scoop her up gently, only to rise and flip her off again. Boots was giggling ecstatically. More, she ordered the bats each time she landed, and each time they dropped her, Gregor's stomach lurched into his throat. Stop it, he snapped at the Underlanders. Henry and Luxa looked surprised. Either no one had ever yelled at these royal brats, or they hadn't seen Gregor lose his temper yet. He grabbed Henry by the front of his shirt. Bring her in now. Henry could probably cream him, but he didn't care. Henry put up his hands in mock surrender. Take ease, Overlander. She is not in danger, he said, grinning. In truth, Gregor, she is safer with the bats than human hands, said Luxa. And she's not afraid. She's too, screamed Gregor, wheeling on her. She's gonna think she can jump off anything and be caught. She can, said Luxa, not seeing the problem. Not at home, Luxa. Not in the Overland, said Gregor, and I don't plan on staying in this creepy place forever. They might not have known exactly what he meant by creepy, but it was clear that it was an insult. Luxa raised her hand and a bat coasted by lightly, flipping Boots into Gregor's arms. He caught her and squeezed her tightly. The Underlanders were no longer laughing. What means this creepy? Said Luxa coolly. Never mind, said Gregor. It's just something we Overlanders say when we see our baby sisters being tossed around by bats. See, for us, that's creepy. It was meant to be entertaining, said Henry. Oh yeah, you guys should open a theme park. You'll have a line stretched from here to the surface, said Gregor. Now they really had no idea what he was saying, but his tone was so sarcastic they couldn't miss it. Boots wriggled from his arms and ran towards the ledge of the pillar. More, she piped. No, Boots, no jump, said Gregor, catching her just in the nick of time. See, this is what I'm talking about, he said to Luxa. He stuffed Boots into the back and heaved her onto his back. The Underlanders were baffled by his anger and stung by his tone, even if they couldn't understand his words. Well, it was not Boots who needed the lessons anyway, said Luxa. It was you. Oh, abandon the thought, Luxa, Henry sneered. The Overlander would never give himself to the bats. Why, when he returns home, he may forget creepy land and jump off his own roof. Luxa and Henry gave an unfriendly laugh. Meredith just looked embarrassed. Gregor knew it was a dare, and one part of him itched to take it, just run and jump into the darkness and leave the rest up to the bats. Another part of him didn't want to play this little game. Luxa and Henry wanted him to leap so they could laugh at him flailing around in the air. He guessed they both hated being ignored, though, so he gave them one look of contempt and walked away. He could feel Luxa positively steaming behind him. I could have thrown you off the side, Overlander, and have no one to answer to, said Luxa. So do it, said Gregor, holding out his arms. He knew it was a lie. She'd have Vicus to answer to. Luxa bit her lip in vexation. Oh, let the warrior be, Luxa, said Henry. He is no good to us dead, yet. And even if the bats may not be able to compensate for his... Even the bats may not be able to compensate for his clumsiness. Come, I will race you to the pitch pool. She hesitated for a moment and then ran for the edge. She and Henry launched into the air like a pair of beautiful birds and vanished, presumably onto their bats. Gregor stood there, hands on his hips, hating them. He had forgotten Meredith was behind him. You must not take what they say to heart, said Meredith softly. Gregor turned and saw the conflict on Meredith's face. They were both kind to his children, but when the rats took their parents, they changed. The rats killed Henry's parents too, said Gregor. To be honest, I don't even think they were being mean. I'm gonna be honest, I don't even think they're being mean. Because, to them, right, they grew up with the bats protecting them and taking care of them, so, they're well, what's the issue? What's the issue of this? I think Gregor is actually in the wrong in this situation, even if it obviously would have been better for them to explain, the bats got him, obviously I wasn't gonna kill your sister, but, the way he went about talking to them was crazy. I actually think he's in the wrong. I think he's deeply in the wrong in this one. Because it's why would we plan on killing your sister when we're on this quest? We just started this quest. Clearly, that's not what we would want to do. And I understand that he's not planning on staying here long. Yeah, I understand that he's, better at it. I understand that he's not planning on staying here long. But, again, Gregor is really selfish and extremely naive if he thinks they're gonna find his dad in 2 nights or something. He's gonna be with these people for a little bit longer than I think he realizes. Obviously, I don't know when they're gonna see his dad, but they have to go to 3 different nations to go get help, and then they can go get his dad. So it's at least for 3 different nations, you're gonna be with these people. Why is he not trying to make nice? That's the thing about him, because he's selfish. That's the thing about him. At least they're trying to do something fun. And obviously I'm saying this as an adult, from an adult's perspective, where I'm yeah, I could see they were trying to be fun and have a little fun moment with Boots. And instead he's I don't plan on being here very long. This place is fucking creepy, which is rude. You're being rude. You're being so rude. You can't say that. Even when you're upset, this is their home. What? You can't call their home creepy. That's why I'm I understand Luxa, and I don't want Luxa to do anything with it. With Gregor, I actually think she deserves better. I don't want to see it. I nip that in the bud. They can be friends, but I don't like these romantic vibes that I'm getting. I want that to be nipped in the bud quickly. Some before Luxus, Henry's father was the king's younger brother. After the Overlanders, the rats would most like to see the royal family dead, said Marith. When they were killed, Nerissa became frail as glass, Henry hard as stone. Gregor nodded. He could never hate people very long because he always... If it ain't Peeta and Katniss... Peeta and Katniss are the best versions of it. And I just don't think that the romantic... they're 11, so I'm gonna let it slide. Like, Gregor is 11, I think. I actually don't remember how old Lux is. She's like 12. So I mean, they're like young. So I mean, I don't know what the vibes are right now. I don't know. There's been like a bit of like romantic moments where Gregor's been like, I don't know, she looks kind of cute, but I don't know where that's going. I'm just saying I'm not trying to see that at this point because they haven't made me care about the relationship. The only reason I like Peeta and Katniss, well, I could talk about that for 300 hours, but like, Peeta is, first of all, a very good character on his own. Like, they're both good characters on their own, you know? So, I feel like at this point, I can't really ship this because Gregor is really annoying. I can't ship this because I don't think Gregor is a good person. Like, I actually don't think these two people should even be friends with each other, frankly. At this point in the story, I'm only 80 pages in, but like, you know, I'm like, I don't even know if they should be friends with each other. Ugh. He could never hate people very long because he always ended up finding something sad about them that he had to factor in. Like this kid at school everybody hated because he was always pushing little kids around. And then one day they found out his dad hit him so much he was in the hospital. Stuff like that. All Gregor could feel was bad. When Vicus arrived a few minutes later, Gregor got onto his bed without a word. As they took off, he realized how tightly his legs clutched the bed's sides and tried to loosen up. Vicus rode with his legs swinging free. Gregor let his legs go and found it was actually easier to stay on, more balanced. Now we must visit the crawler, said Vicus. Do you wish to continue dissecting the prophecy? Maybe later, Gregor answered. Vicus didn't press it. He probably had plenty on his mind with the war and all. You know, the war and all. Something else was eating at Gregor now that he had his temper under control. He knew he hadn't refused to jump off the pillar only to make Luxa and Henry mad. And it wasn't only because they'd laugh at him, no. No mystery why he'd mentioned theme parks, roller coasters, bungee jumps, parachute drops. He hated them. He went on them sometimes because everybody would think he was chicken if he hadn't. But they weren't fun. What was fun about feeling the world drop out from under your feet? And those rides at least had seatbelt. Gregor hadn't jumped because deep down he was scared to, and everybody knew it. And that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it on chapter 14. I'll leave it on chapter 14. 4 chapters is pretty good. 4 chapters is pretty good. I'm going to leave it on chapter 14 for now. I don't have anything good to say about Gregor. I actually am I'm disliking him more as the story is progressing. It's crazy. But it's like, I'm looking for the redemption, because clearly, in my head, I shouldn't even say clearly, in my head, I'm imagining that, like, it's being written like this, so that when he actually does do something cool, there's, like, a really big moment for it, right? When he's not being a big dick, there's a really big moment for it, where it's like, yes, he's growing, see how he's changing, see how he's developed over the years, gonna be like 16. Like, I don't really feel the vibes that like this is a short quest. Maybe I'm wrong, but like those vibes, you feeling those vibes? Like, I don't feel those vibes that he's like easily just gonna like leave and come back. I think everybody's gonna be grown by the time they come back. That's just me. I feel like it's giving the Odyssey a little bit. And I'm not just saying that because we watched Epic, but I am also saying that because we watched Epic. It's given the Odyssey. It's given 22 years out on sea. 22 years out on sea. Yeah, now I'm just thinking. But that's where I'm gonna leave it. I want the book to get darker. Penelope, my wife. I feel like it might be like a Narnia situation. Obviously, we don't know what happens like when you go back, but it might be like a Narnia situation where like Gregor will be like 16, 17, like he finally has his dad. Boots is gonna be like I don't know how old is Boots? She's 2 years old, so 6 years would have passed. 7, 8, so she'd be 8 years old. And they'll have their dad, and then they're all ready to go back. And then they like go through the portal, they go through the hole, and they're gonna come back as like 11 and 2 years old again. Wouldn't that be fucking crazy? I always thought the Narnia thing was so crazy because it's like I was a grown man. Like I was a grown man. What do you mean I'm going back into my 12-year-old body? What? I was a grown man. I had like experiences. I like saw shit. I saw war. Like all of them saw war. I know we just read Narnia, but like all of them experienced war and they had to go back into their child bodies. I don't think so. I do not think so. I don't. Fuck you mean I can't drink alcohol? Fuck you mean I gotta go back to like wartime Britain? They were eating that fucking Turkish delight as a treat. Keep me in Narnia. At least in Narnia they got good ass food in Narnia. What was he eating as a reward? I can't even remember. Like when they had that meal at home, talking about some cold rice or something. I can't even remember what it was they were eating. It was so bad. Oh my god, no, keep me in Narnia. At least there's some good meats in Narnia. My god. I don't wanna be here. I do not wanna be here. No. That could not be me. Yeah, then you gotta go to back to wartime Britain. I mean, like, what is so good about New York City? I mean, what is so good about New York City that, like, Gregor obviously is 11 right now, but I'm just thinking about the future of the book. But it's like he wants to go back that bad. I know his mom is still there, so his mom and his other sister is still there, so I understand it, but like New York City, I feel like by the end of this book he's gonna have his own palace. Like, you want to go back to New York City. I mean, they don't have sunlight here. That's tough. That is kind of tough. They have sunlight. It's tough. They don't have hot dogs. That's kind of tough. It's kind of tough. They don't have cheeseburgers. That's a little tough. Yeah. That's a little tough. Yeah, if I can't get a Dr. Pepper, I think. I don't even like Dr. Pepper that much. I don't even like Dr. Pepper like that. If I can't get like a Coca-Cola, I love Coke. If I can't get like a Coca-Cola, just count me out. I don't want to be here. get a supersized Coca-Cola, then I don't really want to be here. Yeah, I'm understanding it a little bit more now, just a little bit. But it's like New York is not that good for him to want to go back. I understand the sister thing and everything, I really do, but it's like New York's not that good to want to go back. It's really not. Anyway, I enjoyed reading. To be honest, I'm probably going to read this book. I mean, obviously, I don't know what's gonna happen, but so far, I'm getting the vibes that like I'm probably only gonna read this book and not the rest of the series. You know, I'll probably keep it to just this book and not the rest of the series because Gregor, I can't handle him right now. Gregor, I can't handle him right now. I can't. He's doing too much. He's doing too much. I'm getting the vibe where it's like, yeah, I'm probably only gonna read the first book. I love Suzanne Collins, but yeah, I'm only gonna. I feel like, are you gonna look up a summary? No, I just said I'm gonna read this book. I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, if the book ends up being like really good, we're only in Act 2. We just started Act 2. We only read like a few chapters in Act 2. So, like, if it starts getting more serious, a little bit more dark, because essentially, like, what I wanted was basically more Hunger Games, and not in the sense of like I wanted Hunger Games content. I wanted the style of the Hunger Games, like the more like the writing of the Hunger Games, but this is really different, and it's not different bad, it's just like not different what I'm looking for. So I'm probably just gonna read this first book because we already started it and I do want to finish because I am curious about like where the book is going. But if it doesn't pick up by the end of the book, I'm probably just gonna like keep it at just this book. I will read something else, but I'm gonna finish this, and there's like, I still have all of Act 2 left. It's actually quite a big. I'm not even, I'm a third of the way done with the book. 1/3. I'm 1/3 of the way done with the book. Oh, that makes sense, obviously. Act 1, Act 2, so. To know how the series ends. Oh, am I gonna look up a summary after I'm done? Well, if I decide I'm not gonna read the second book, then yeah, I'll probably just like look it up. But obviously I don't know how the series ends, so I don't know how this first book ends, so I want to keep it for myself. Obviously I don't know, so I want to keep it for myself. But you know, that's a long time out, frankly. It's like a really long time out. Because like, we're only 1/3 of the way done, and it took me like forever for me to read that first part. So I'm gonna actually like try and do more ASMR streams so I can like knock this book out. I can like knock this book out, knock it right out. Because I'm not taking this book with me into 2026. We're gonna finish this one. I'm not taking it into 2026. We're not doing that. We're not doing that, but it was nice to do a nice, quiet ASMR stream. I'm gonna end it here. If no one told you today you are in fact loved, valued, and appreciated, you deserve to hear that every single day of your life. And I'm happy to be one person so I'm gonna tell you that you are loved, you are valued, and you are in fact appreciated. I'm gonna be back on Monday. I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's not Monday yet. It's not Monday yet, so obviously I don't know what I'm going to do. I haven't decided what I'm going to do. It's not Monday yet. It might be ASMR gaming, depends on how tired I am or what I need. Depends on how tired I am on what I need from stream. I'm going to raid Kid Darling because they're doing an ASMR stream. And I just fits that vibe, so I'm gonna raid them. Yup. Again, I'm gonna be back on Monday. It's gonna be good, great, grand, fantastic. I don't stream on Sundays anyways, if you want to keep up with what I'm doing, I'm active on TikTok, I'm active on Twitter, I'm active everywhere. You can follow me there. Look at my card page if you want to know. Yep. I feel like that's all I wanted to say. Yeah, you're loved, you're valued, you're appreciated. Back on Monday. Keep up with me via Discord or Twitter or TikTok, wherever you might find your local puppkats. And as always, until next time, bye. Oh wait, yeah, I put the read message. Bye. Goodbye. I'm just making sure that I actually read it.